Did you watch the debate?
I did.
What'd you think?
I think that President Trump, he demonstrated a lot of restraint that we've not seen from him previously.
Oh, he's being quiet now. He's being quieter. He's right.
I've had a lot of friends through the years that say, well, they just wish that they'd take Trump's Twitter away and now X.
Right.
And
right.
Tell him to tone down, who he really is. I mean, he's a pretty eccentric personality. There's no denying that. But he demonstrated a lot of restraint in that debate. I kind of appreciated the parameters that were put around the debate format, because I think that helped both of them. And kept everybody from just talking over each other, because I wanted to hear what they both said. I was a little worried, and we've obviously spent a lot of time looking at this in the past couple of weeks. The President Biden, his health, his physical stamina, he's having to depend on his wife Jill to lead him around more. Helped him down the stairs that night at the debate. Helped lead him up to the panelists there that night, so that he could thank them and all that. And I mean, look, he physically is showing signs of slowing down. He's 81 years old. It doesn't mean that he's incapable of making decisions, but it's concerning to me, just purely from his health. And again, I'm with President Trump. I'll be voting for President Trump in November. But I have been paying close attention to the President Biden's physical condition and his ability to, is he up for the 24-hour non-stop pressure of that office, which I can't even imagine. And I'm 43 years old and in relatively good health. But for him, is he able to withstand that pressure? I think Trump is in better physical condition. His stamina is better. I mean, if you watch some of the debate about their golf games, which I kind of wish they weren't debating their golf games on. There's more important issues. But it was pretty funny. Biden definitely does not have a 6 or 8 handicap. There's no way.
Do you think our Democrats should replace Biden?
So selfishly, I hope they don't. Okay? I hope that he stays in it. But I think that the Democrats have set the national stage to pull him out at the convention.
Can they pull him out?
I think they'll figure out a way to do it. I think that that several weeks prior to the debate we had the other night in Atlanta, when the mainstream news media started really focusing in on Biden and was he fit or not, and you saw a lot more of the footage coming out of him walking. I mean, we've seen it from the beginning. The joke in 2020 was, "Where's Joe?" They got him in the basement. But I think we're really seeing that there's more to it than we probably even know. And so I think the mainstream media and the Democratic Party are laying the groundwork to make a change at convention. If it's Kamala and whoever it might be on the ticket, I'm not sure. But
Michelle Obama.
Or what about the scenario of Biden hangs in there, and doesn't stand down?
Well, this is an election where you're not necessarily voting for, you're voting against. So people that vote for Biden, they're not necessarily they're voting against. And the same thing, it works in politics.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like from where we're at a crossroads for our country, that President Trump has a better plan for dealing with our border, a better plan for helping America not be a declining nation, putting things in place that will incentivize our economy and lower the inflation that we've all experienced. And so I think that he will be able to tackle those issues better than the Biden administration. Of course, I'm a Republican. I'm supporting him, and that's where I'm at on that. But I just we're at a crossroads as a country. There's a lot going on that we've got to address, and it's gonna mean some difficult decisions.
Somebody told me you want to be governor.
Oh my goodness! Listen, David,
do you have political aspirations like that?
I have gotten that all my life, and let me tell you why. My uncle was the governor from 1983 to 1991, Joe Frank Harris. I love him. He's set a great example that I try to emulate in the way that I treat people and the way that I live and conduct myself and my family as well. But I grew up getting that, you know, as a kid in school, because I was coming through school at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know, there was all the jokes about the governor, so people have put that on me. I wouldn't say that I don't have aspirations to do something else, but I would say that I've been called to do the job I'm in right now, and I take that very seriously. I enjoy serving. It's an honor. I don't take it lightly, and I'm very committed to doing a good job here as the House District 15 representative. I've been able to move up in the leadership. I'm vice chair of our Economic Development Committee. I'm on appropriations now. I serve as a floor leader for the governor to work on legislation that he prioritizes. And that's just in a 6-year period of time that I've been in the legislature. I never run for office prior to 2019, so I'm still kind of getting ingrained in kind of what's going on. But you don't know. I would pray about it and take any decision like that very seriously. But you never know. I don't know.
Now, when people are elected nowadays, it's like for life.
Yeah.
How can you move up when somebody just never steps down?
Well, that's true. But now listen, I'm also a proponent of term limits at the national level, and I know that is going to get me sideways with some of my friends that think that term limits should come at the ballot box every 2 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we're fine at the state level. I run every 2 years. Our state senators run every 2 years. We're constantly running. I'm also in this community the majority of the time. I'm only down at the Capitol from January through March. Every other day, I live here. I'm working from here. I'm in church. I'm at the chamber. I'm in the civic clubs. I'm on the ball fields. I'm in the parks. I'm accessible. I'm in the grocery stores, and so that helps me stay better plugged in. But what we've seen kind of play out in Washington is just kind of this autopilot, cruise control, federalization, and people go up there and they stay for 40 years, and I just don't think that the founding fathers intended it to be that way.
Biden's like 50 years.
I know, and I don't like that. I wouldn't like that for anybody.
Right.
That's just too long. People need to go home. We got a lot of great folks in America that need to step up to the plate, and I'm for good people running for office, and stepping up. So,
what can we look forward to in the State House?
Well, I've been on the circuit here since the legislative session ended on March the 28th, and I've been to the Rotaries and going to be at the Exchange Club coming up here in a week or two, and talked to several civic groups here in Bartow County. We've got a lot to be proud of as a state. We have a very large state surplus that has helped us to make strategic one-time investments in certain programs and pay raises for our teachers. We have now brought our teachers in Georgia to the highest pay in the Southeast, starting pay, and that's something that I think we all can be.
Really?
We can all be very proud of. We've done basically a $10,000 pay raise since 2018. We've done a $10,000 pay raise over that period of time for teacher pay. We've also been able to give state employees a pay raise. We've done that now 2 or 3 times, but the first one that we did was the first pay raise they had since 2012. So our state employees deserve it, and most importantly, our frontline law enforcement officers, we've been able to provide some significant pay raises there to make those positions competitive, and of course to pay them I don't know that we really can pay them what they have to endure on a daily basis, and my hat's off to everybody in law enforcement and first responders. But we have a good surplus. Now, we've done all those investments. At the same time, we've put your money back in your pocket. We've lowered the state income tax rate. We've accelerated that cut. We have provided property tax rebate refunds last year that everyone that had a homestead, had a home, primary residence received. We've done state income tax refunds. And we've suspended the gas tax. Those were 2 bills that I carried. I've done it twice now. The gas tax suspension, which took 30 cents a gallon off of diesel and motor fuel for the period of time that they were in place, which of course saved Georgians at the gas pump, as we all see record high gas prices, fuel prices. So I'm very proud of it. We did that because of how we positioned during COVID. We were the last state to close. We were the first state to open. Again, we've been the #1 state to do business. People are coming here. So we've been able to do some things that I'm very proud of. And one of the bills that I carried this year, House Bill 130, provides for law enforcement officers, if they want to come into law enforcement and work for 5 years, or if they're already working in state or local law enforcement and they want to go back to school and get a degree in criminal justice, we will pay up to $20,000 towards that degree. It's a recruitment and retention tool that has just now gone into effect this month on July the 1st. So I'm very proud to have worked on that bill. And then also another one this past session that I worked on is the High Demand Career Initiative bill. We know that there are certain careers in our state that are at great need, and there's a high demand for individuals to go into those professions. Mm-hmm. Things like welding, automotive construction, healthcare, law enforcement. And so we have a program where if a student wants to go to the technical school and pursue one of those high demand careers, they can be eligible for basically free tuition in those specific high demand areas. And so the bill that I carried allows the State Workforce Investment Board to determine what those careers are and when they need to be changed, because we know our economy is constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And so they have the ability to change what are those high demand careers that we're incentivizing our students to go towards. So those are a few of the things that I've worked on this past year. And as we head into 2025, there's a lot of things that are still out on the horizon, whether it's dealing with mental health and addressing that issue that we've spent a lot of time on the past 2 years. We passed the Mental Health Reform Act, House Bill 1013, a year and a half ago. We did that. And then, of course, healthcare, education, those are always prevailing issues that we're addressing in some capacity during the legislative session. So we still got a ways out before January 2025, but it's certainly on all of our minds, and we'll probably be seeing some things move as we get into the fall and closer into session.
Are you a native Bartow County?
I am. I've lived here my whole life.
What do you think of all this growth?
Well, growth is changing us. Growth has changed us.
Yes.
When I was growing up in Cartersville, downtown was not vibrant. There were shops, there were stores, but we saw the proliferation of shopping centers built in and around downtown. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those businesses that had been in downtown went elsewhere. It wasn't really a destination.
Right.
There weren't really places to go eat and be entertained and have activities and things like that. We have done a fantastic job in Cartersville in creating a thriving downtown, as much as I get frustrated about parking. But we've got a new parking deck, which is good, and that's helping to alleviate some of that growth. And but it's good to see downtown. It looks good. We've had investment from people like John Lewis that have helped to restore a lot of the old buildings downtown. Mm-hmm. And so people are coming to Cartersville that don't even live here. I talked to somebody last week. They came up from Cobb to go to the 4th of July parade. Marietta has a huge 4th of July parade, but they came to Cartersville because they like to come to Cartersville. And I think that's cool. We go over to Rome. I like downtown Rome. We'll go over there and eat sometimes. And, Rome kind of has built a downtown culture that people enjoy going to as well. And so it's good to see downtown come back. But the change has definitely, the growth is definitely changing Bartow. And we now are having, traffic congestion. We've got a lot of housing that's being built and proposed to be built. It's bringing a lot of folks to town. Between Q Cells and SK Battery, when they're full speed open, both of those will probably employ an additional new 5,000 people. Wow. Doesn't mean they're all going to live in Bartow. They may commute from surrounding areas, but that's a lot of jobs.
You're in the know in the state. Is there more like this coming?
Yes, I think so, because we're so well positioned. We're on the interstate. We're in between Atlanta and Chattanooga. We've got water. We've got plentiful energy right here with the energy solutions that we have through Georgia Power, and of course the city of Cartersville is a municipal electric authority. Electric City of Georgia, and then we've got EMCs that serve in the south part of the county, Cobb EMC, and Greystone come into some of the area of South Bartow that are in the district that I represent. So there's a lot going on for Bartow County. I can't blame people for wanting to move here. We've got a lot to offer, and taxes are relatively low. I know that I have conversations with people all the time. Property taxes have gone up. Yes, I know they've gone up, but when you really start breaking it down and looking at places like Cobb and Alpharetta and some of those areas, we still have a lot lower tax rates by and large than the surrounding areas. So land is more affordable, and I think that creates an incentive where people want to come here.
Invested. How come we don't have sports betting?
Well, so far a coalition of Republicans and Democrats that are just not sure about gambling expansion have kept any gambling expansion legislation from passing. And you got to remember, there's basically three areas that we've looked at: casinos, which is the bricks and mortar, horse racing, and then of course sports betting, the one that you're talking about. Many states in our nation have passed sports betting expansion legislation. The sentiment that I get from the people I serve with in the legislature, and there's 236 of us, I'm one of 236, is that there's a willingness to pass sports betting. I think we're probably closer to sports betting than we are the other two. I don't know if those other two are going to happen, but I'd say if I had to, no pun intended, put a bet on what would happen, that sports betting would be the first. Now, I think, again, going back to the coalition of folks that have not traditionally supported gambling expansion, there's a whole lot of reasons for that. Some of it is faith-based reasons. Some of it is based on, issues like sex trafficking or drugs and organized crime, things like that have historically come into the debate. And does that really help or hurt our citizens? And so that has been a part of the conversation every year that this has been brought up. And look, by the way, David, every year that I've been in the legislature, and I started in 2019, so this was my sixth legislative session that I just finished up, we have had gambling bills. Every year. They're going to be, I'm sure there's going to be some pre-filed rolling into 2025. And I've got friends that are very adamant we need to expand it. It's just not been a big focus that I've spent a lot of time on, because I've been so focused on the other legislation that I've worked on that I think has more of a meaningful impact on our day-to-day lives, and is where I'm kind of focused. So, that's been where I've been at on the whole gambling expansion issue. It's not an issue that I get up in the morning that lights my fire and I think about, what am I going to do about gambling expansion today? I've just spent time elsewhere.
I know this has nothing to do with the state, but Project 2025, I've read a little bit about it, and it's got a lot of stuff. Have you read anything about it?
I've read enough to be conversational about Project 2025.
Well, what do you think? What's your interpretation of it?
My interpretation is that a lot of the organizations that were involved in creating it, of course the Heritage Foundation is the one probably most involved. They're conservative organizations. They're organizations that I'm aware of, have met many people that work or affiliated with those organizations through the years. They're just like any nonprofit that's in that policy space. They all have ideas. They all have things that they are espousing that they want legislators to impact or to institute legislatively, whether that's at the state level or the federal level. But at the end of the day, they're nonprofits. They're not governmental organizations. These Project 2025 has no weight of law. I know the concern is that some of the things that are in it could become law, but one thing I'll pick out from Project 2025 is not really a new issue, but the conversation about, do we need a national Department of Education? Doesn't mean that those functions of the USDOE are going to all go away if we eliminated USDOE, because probably the majority of them wouldn't go away. It just would come back down to local state departments and local boards of education to make decisions that are based on education closer to the end recipient, which is the students and parents as well. So, we would have to look at the functions of our Georgia Department of Education and picking up some of those processes. It doesn't mean that USDOE goes away. It doesn't mean that any of that stuff in 2025, the Project 2025, is going to happen. but I know it's got a lot of attention lately. I think the president has talked a little bit about it. I think he may be distancing himself a little bit from it the past week or two.
Right.
But I will say the Heritage Foundation is a credible organization that I have personally. I've been to their offices. I've given money to the Heritage Foundation. I've read a lot of their research on policy issues that we're dealing with, and it has helped me be better informed. And they've been around a long time, so it's not like they've just risen up in the past 5 or 6 years and they're brand new. They've been around quite a while, and I think that most conservatives and even Democrats have benefited from a lot of the research that they've done on issues.
Are you concerned about the national debt?
I'm very concerned about the national debt, and both parties have led us to where we're at now. I know we could talk about the strength of the dollar and the stock market gains. I understand that is going on right now, but at the same time, we have this huge national debt. And that's led us to conversations about, do we cut jobs, government jobs? Do we cut agencies? Do we get rid of some of the bureaucracy? Where can we make strategic cuts? But I am for Congress getting huddled up and locking them in a room and not letting them come out until they figure out, what does it take to balance our budget? What does it take to start chipping away at the national debt? Because I think that we really have defaulted. We just haven't admitted yet. And so that's concerning to me as the father of 3 school-age kids that I'm raising. Social Security, I pay into it, but I think they've spent that Social Security money many, many years ago, and now my kids and maybe even their kids are going to be responsible for putting the money in that may not even be available to them, and that's concerning. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. It's probably going to hurt.